care of by the new us that manifests each moment, like the phoenix from the flames, like the butterfly from the chrysalis. I feel we need to get comfortable with birthing ourselves constantly, growing. There is no end to what we are. We are finite beings, I believe. But unless we get into a mode of being comfortable with some prickles once in a while to move through blocks, to keep refreshing ourselves and to keep opening up to deeper parts of who we are, and to support each other in, like, first to recognize this sacredness and the holiness in this, and then from that to support each other, not just ourselves like a greedy I'm going to develop me and screw everyone else, to recognize that we are all one in some way, and individuals, and that we need to start helping each other grow and develop rather than cutting each other down. Makes me think of my dogs. I'm walking them together in the forest and they see a chipmunk and they get all excited, but then they start fighting each other. Even though they love each other, they start fighting each other because each one wants to be the first to own that squirrel in case they get it. And I've recognized some of this stuff in myself during these tense times. Getting upset with, I don't know, when I was posting information that I had learned about certain vitamins in things and values of keeping your immune system in the best shape, and the amount of people that challenged that statement, most of them with no knowledge of what they were talking about, but just coming from a place of conditioning and programming. And at that time, I didn't have the capacity, I'll say, to show as much compassion as I would have wanted to in my place of frustration. And just like, oh, God. And that was my growth, the edge of my growth, where it was at, and it was being tested. So I'll admit, being a human, I would get frustrated. And I would see those us and them things and just like, what is going on? Why are certain people feeling this way and blocked to that and da-da-da-da? As others would feel that about me, I'm sure. So what I've gone through in the last 6 months, let's just say, not alone, including the last 5 years, and then before that, the last 10 years, and it just goes on and on. I think for me, all these difficult challenges, growth edges, revealed to me now with my new level of awareness and wisdom, that these were all signposts for me to make changes within myself, outside of myself, whatever. And in some cases, I didn't see them at the time, so the message got louder. That's how I interpret it. So the world has had a pretty loud message. It's just, how do we interpret it? And do we interpret it the way that the powers that be tell us how to, like little sheep? Or do we look inside ourselves for deeper wisdom? Or even find out how to look inside ourselves for deeper wisdom and trust that ultimately, and then use that deeper wisdom and connection to then interface with authorities that tell us how to live our lives and how to value things out from a place where we're in fear, and then they offer us these ultimatums. That is not fair in my books, and that's why I have a difficult time with these things, but I don't want to focus on that anymore. I want to focus on growth and how do we move past these blocks? How do we find commonalities? How do we connect in these challenging times? How do we move forward when everyone's got a different view and a different reality and a different truth? Cutting off my head again. How do we make this how do we recognize and cultivate the recognition of this being a powerful and sacred time, not a time to go into fear and just choose the quickest fast food answer to our troubles. Because keep in mind, and I have to remind myself, we have been trained for instant answers, instant cup of soup versions of the depth that is our birthright. Each one of us. We are all way more than we ever thought we were. And it's way too easy for us to cut that down when we hear it. I know how many people listening to me right now have a voice in their heads going, oh God, here it goes. This syrupy new age bullshit. I know because I have that voice in my head. And I have to work with it all the time. Always challenges me. It took me ages to even recognize that it was a voice in my head and not me. It always works at convincing me that it's me. And in the most difficult times, it's the most convincing. Even now, at my stage of growth, I can get swallowed up by it at times. And I have to coach myself through it because it feels so real. And everything else that is so real feels so far off and faint. And I'm just reduced down to, I don't know, whatever part of me is the weakest and most vulnerable. And hurt feels like the only place of truth. You know, these challenging times come that way. But I've recognized that in those places are the most sacred moments. If we choose to connect with that deeper part of ourselves and hold strong, hold on to that rock, you know, like a lighthouse on the cliffs, and not only guide ourselves, but indirectly guide others by just being real and not running from that which we're afraid of. You know, and I think of all the songs that I've collected about don't run from the storm, and now that is a metaphor for those that might take it literally. That storm, do not run from it. It's not something to hide from. I think about Dune with the fear is the mind killer, and when you face that fear and let it run through you, only you will remain. Only the true you is what's left. But you can't find that out unless you're willing to go into those uncomfortable places. So I think that's a good enough tangent for now. I'm starting my day. I was feeding the dogs. I got to finish that, and then feed myself, and then get to work. Do a bit of work on the Phoenix and I'll call it porta potty. And then I want to go and spend some time getting things ready for the chicken coop to be moved. So some big things happening this week. If that does truly happen on the weekend, that's a biggie. This well situation, it's a biggie. Those are my two big things right now. Most immediate things are try and secure this well being dug. Try and get that money secured for the well. Getting that chicken coop moved over here with the chickens. It's a massive thing. So many reasons. You know, the biggest reason is, you know, I hate feeling like the person who bought the house has got this chicken coop that they don't want sitting there, you know, but reality, situation, lockdown, circumstances, nothing is predictable. So how can you guarantee anything anymore? You can't run things on the old model, the old program. You have to get a new map. You have to navigate sometimes without your GPS. You got to do it by the old ways. Go deeper into that. You have to make decisions that could be wrong. You have to be willing to make those decisions and take that chance. That's what believing in yourself is. You know, not looking to someone else. Oh my, what do I say? Yes or no? Oh. You know, we all have that within us. And now is the time we're being challenged, each and every one of us, to bypass that program and to be our own rock. Because we can't be any help to others until we do that work on ourselves. And that's where the soul print comes in. That's why I have devoted my life, last 40 years of my life, to that work, because I felt people's healing as it happened. And I got people's feedback in the moment, and I got people's feedback constantly for 40 years. 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, 20 years later. So I know my work, and I know the truth in it, and I know its value. And I've seen people who told me, hey, I'm coming for a different reason. I don't, that's good for someone that believes that, but I'm not into that. I'm a surgeon. I've been trained as a scientist. And I don't have room for that kind of stuff. And they come in for the cosmetic aspect to it. And then they have an experience that is so profound that they can't deny it. And then they come back and say, oh my God, I can't believe I had that experience. Now I can't argue. I embody that. It's a truth that I cannot be taken away from. I had the experience. That healing experience that I didn't think would happen. And those are the special moments that I live for. Those breakthroughs that seem impossible, and knowing that I had a hand in, helping my fellow human being up out of a hole, out of a ditch, and then someone else helping me out of that ditch, and so on. And that's, or getting over a wall. You've seen those videos where people get on top of each other's shoulders, and then everyone gets over, and then you pull the last man up. That's what we got to do, and that's what we do with Soul Prints, and that's what Nomad Village that's being developed here from the ground up. Every little painful moment in its foundational building is going to be ecstatic moments in the thousands and millions down the road. So I tell myself that every moment, that every difficult challenge I have right now is coming back to me in my own inner development, and it's going to come back to everyone in the beauty and the sacredness of this area for people to come for their healings, whether it's a Soul Print session or whether it's to come and stay in a cabin eventually when we eventually have a few, or whether it's coming to my eventual Nomad Gallery, which will be just kind of right here in this building, whether they come to buy a carving from me, or a painting, or a print, or whether they just come to walk the trails and just feel the sacredness. We're going to have pebble mosaics. We're going to be raising bees. I'm holding them off. I talked to Braja, and we both agreed I'm just too many challenges right now to be on top of that as well. But eventually I have a dream of having my honeybees, and I want to do sacred geometry and explore how sacred geometry might affect their well-being and health. I have so many plans, Raven and I, for this area, and it's all for healing and all recognizing the challenges that are coming up to us in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20, whatever. And there is a way to turn this around and not have it be, to not have growth challenges be trauma, to redefine that definition we have of that which the result is traumatic in how we interface with it, those challenges, and turn it into something that we run towards and welcome. And I think the only way we can get it, the momentum going to where it is like that, is where we all work together. And the only way we can do that is first to do this scary alone part, which is facing our fears from within. And it is a little death. It is, we're all scared of dying, but the truth is we are always dying every moment, and we're always being reborn every moment. So if we're not aware of each little death and each rebirth, we are just passing it over to the Lipton's Cup of Soup version So we're dying and being reborn anyways, whether we like it or not. If we don't want to look at it, it's on automatic. It's like an iPhone. You can't, you talk about people unlocking phones and stuff. An iPhone's not developed for that. It's got all the programs in. And it's easy to run the system when everything's pre-programmed. And that's how they like us to be. And it's the easiest way to be, and maybe for some that's the way to be. And that's not for me to argue. But a large amount of us do not ultimately want that. We do not want to be a cup of soup. We do not want to be some pseudo human. Never know what we really are and who we really are. And never ever know the potential of what we can be and do when we work together on a way deeper level than we can even imagine. So that's my invitation to everyone. Doesn't mean you have to do what I'm doing, although I do put out the invitation to those that resonate and that are moving out or have moved out and have a little piece of land or something. I'd also be very happy to share my experiences with them and they share with me, so we can be doing some of this together, by association communication. It doesn't mean that you have to be around the corner. So yes, it is to those people an invitation to do their own thing similar, but it's also just an invitation for people to, stay in the city, do whatever it is that your truth needs you to be doing, but to know that there are places like this developing, and I know it's not just me. If I'm doing it, others are doing it. So there will be places like this where people can come to get out of the city, to get out of the stresses, and to just let go and to heal with nature. In our case, to come and get their soul print in an environment that just takes it to a whole new level. To be in communion with nature while your healing is happening, and to then go back completely resourced and changed and cleared from whatever's been burdening. Because also my belief, my experience shows that not recognizing who we are, what we are, not recognizing our truth, our deeper, beyond Lipton cup of soup definition of ourselves. The restriction may even feel comfortable because we're where we know we are and everything's predictable, but our deeper self knows this restriction, this straitjacket is on us, and dis-ease starts there. That is my belief, my truth. I've experienced it. So when you're held in that straitjacket from what your soul knows as your true potential, dis-ease starts. When you're living a lie, or a million little lies, it's kind of like death from 1,000 cuts. It's slow and stretched out, and you may never even recognize it's happening. And you may on a surface level feel like you're in comfort. But the little neuroses develop, the little habits, the bad habits get bigger. The drinking problem, the eating too much sugar, whatever it is, develops and becomes part of you, and you calcify, and eventually things become physical as well as mental and emotional. I know myself, at this point, I could never go back. I could never retreat. I could never go back on my truth. I could, technically, I know I could, and it would be easier, but I am going to move forward. It's for more reasons than a selfish idea of myself and what is comfort. I'm not looking for just comfort. I'm looking for a deeper level of whatever that feeling is. That comfort, if you want to call, might just be the Lipton's cup of soup promise. Oh, look, over here. We'll give you comfort, but you'll have to deaden down any sense of who you really are, and because you don't know who you are, then it's not really going to hurt that much, except for on your unconscious level. Uh, Certain neuroses will develop, but hey, we got medication for that. We got antidepressants. We've got painkillers. We got all kinds of cool stuff. Just pop a few of these, and you'll never notice what is not happy inside. That's what Nomad is all about. And Nomad is not disconnected from Urban Primitive. Urban Primitive still exists, but it's reincarnated now into Nomad. It contains a lot of the same ideas and views, but only upgraded and further developed and going deeper, because now Nomad knows and cannot go back on what it knows. So that wisdom is moving us forward, and it's an invitation to move you guys forward. Anyone that wants to jump on in any capacity, whether it's coming to help out, like a work volunteer thing. We'll do a few of those this summer just to clear up some of the forest branches and things, or to build something. If it's at the stage where I'm building a little hut or workshop or shed or outhouse building for the composting toilet, whatever it is, always we would welcome people that want to just get away for a while, have a retreat experience, but without the cost, just in exchange for some volunteer work for part of the day, and some camaraderie with a little group. Just sharing true, real, deep experiences, or just going off on your own and just enjoying nature. Or booking your soul print experience, or contact me because you're doing something similar to this and you're meeting with challenges that you're afraid of, or you're not sure where to go from here, and you just want some direction from someone that's already gone through some of that. Whatever it is, this is an invitation. This is also an invitation to myself to go deeper. I hope in the next little while, once I get a little bit more time, like you'll be seeing my Phoenix in probably the next video, and a bit of work on that. You'll be seeing more work on my composting toilet, but in near future episodes, I want to go back into history and show photos from my past at different stages of Urban Primitive. I want to show all kinds of cool stuff that a lot of people have no idea about, and other people will see and go, "Oh my God, that's me," or "Oh, I was there," or "I remember that phase of Urban Primitive." And then another part I share they won't know, so that will piece it together like puzzle pieces, and they'll get a bigger picture. Ultimately, it's the communication that I want to get across through my own actions and Urban Primitive's actions over the years, over the last 40 years. And even insights into parts of my past beyond that give some kind of information, have some kind of value in seeing the bigger picture. But either way, push the like button if you're watching this on YouTube, the thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe if you're interested in seeing more videos. And I think there's a little button that you can push to be informed about when a video comes in, so you don't miss it. And if you're so inclined, I am absolutely inviting you to leave a comment. Give me some feedback, what you're doing, how you see it's kind of connected or in opposition. I don't care. Just good, honest, heartfelt communication. Leave criticisms aside, unless it's really constructive criticism. I really don't have time for, someone just give an attitude or opinions like that. I'm into positive support and sharing. It's actually just starting to get warm enough. I'm just realizing that I can take my hat off. This morning was a little bit chilly in the shadows. And as you can see, this little area here is in the shade most of the time, which is why I chose it for a kitchen. What else? Any little quick updates? Yeah, remember, if you're interested in a soul print session, contact me by email, bodyart@urbanprimitive.com. As it sounds, body art, one word, at urbanprimitive.com. We're not urban primative, it's primitive. And primitive in the beauty of what the word means, not as a derogatory term. So even that was choosing a redefinition and a deeper understanding of even that word. You know, going deeper into that place that some derogatorily call primitive, but where we understood that it was actually going into our deeper wisdom, our wellspring, for a deeper source. And here we go back to the metaphors of the digging the well. Gosh, metaphors are pretty amazing. Parallels. You know, it's kind of a synergistic crossing of that which is abstract and unknown and something that is known, and you get this sort of a Vesica Pisces where the two overlap, and you get this other. I think that's kind of when a good metaphor works. You get this insight that is just so crisp that you've just created a deeper part of the tunnel that couldn't have been dug before, ahead of yourself. But anyways, please, I welcome feedback. Please drop me an email if you're interested in a soul print session, or if you're interested in getting away from things and just doing a little bit of physical labor and camaraderie and sharing stories around a campfire, if we're permitted to have one at that time when you're up, because it's been pretty dry, although we had a torrential downpour a little while ago. So if we keep getting a bit of rain, then we'll be able to have campfires, sit around, and I make amazing, I must say, amazing coffee. I've been doing it now for a long time with the AeroPress. Those that have stayed with me, and I've made them coffee, and Raven's amazing coffee, they can tell. Raven's not here, so I can't promise the same fancy meals that she is able to create. I can cook well, but I'm don't quite have the same time to do it, because if I spent the time cooking, then I wouldn't be doing the soul printing. But I promise a deep experience, super deep experience, profound experience, true, honest sharing. There's no facade here. It's, you know, you want some truth, some sharing, some lovely stories to throw back and forth. Here's where you're going to get it. And you get to step into the nomad experience at the very beginning, at the sort of groundbreaking stages, that down the road you'll be able to say, wow, I was there right at that foundational stage. Even, you know, you can even see the scars on the earth right here, where the kind of urban primitive plane landed without its wheels. Down the road, you won't see those anymore, and it'll be just visually gorgeous, and little paths of pebble mosaics that you can walk on with bare feet and get all the little acupuncture stimulation, and little bridges over creeks and streams, and little statues in the forest. It's just going to be gorgeous. It's going to be like walking through a dream, kind of an illustrated children's book. And that's part of what it's designed for, is to nurture the child within. I think every one of us, our child has been stressed out, our inner child, and it could use a little bit of tender loving care. So that's all part of what this is all about, that understanding, and that for the purpose of nurturing that, so that we can resource ourselves and then move forward with power and new energy, and meet that new day with the best of what we have. Because right now we are the ones on the front line. This is where it either happens or it doesn't happen. This is where our decisions and the things we do right now are going to be talked about hundreds of years from now, of those brave souls that did what seemed impossible in order to give those of us in the future what we will have. I truly believe that. But now is the time. Now is the time to become your true selves. Dig deep into that well and find out what you're made of. Yeah, really. And accept support from others that are going through the same thing. You know, accept a hand. I found that one of the most difficult things. My pride was pretty bruised, and I never had to ask for help since I was a kid. You know, I was always the one, you know, saying, oh, here, I can lend you some money, or I can do this, or I can do that. You know, even if it was from a loan. You know, I rode it, I surfed that wave quite well. And I love helping people. And I'm still loving helping people. But I'll tell you, when I have to put my pride to the side and admit that I feel vulnerable, for example, I don't know why I find that so difficult. You know, and there's programs that keep jumping in and going, oh, you're a failure, you're a failure, you're a failure. But I know that is a program. It's bullshit. And I know other people are dealing with programs, or at least will deal with programs as they try to face their own hypocrisy that they are living, we are all living to some extent, until we face ourselves and we move forward rather than living someone else's truth that they've defined for us, which takes a lot of courage to step out of that program, you know, to jailbreak our inner iPhones and to avoid those that are promising us that we can have an artificial one built in. Why bother doing the hard work and developing